Welcome to ZeroFunction, the podcast with no brain cells. It's something like that.
Yeah, when no brain cells are present.
The intro's been passed off to me this weekend. This week, apparently. God.
It is a weekend.
Okay, I'm just...
You know what? It's Sunday, so...
Yes, hello. I am Lee. I'm here with Jen and Conall.
Yes.
And researching this week's topic has fried my brain.
See, this is the
That's my
first week,
excuse.
like... This is the first week that I have literally no idea what it is. Because, like, obviously each week we alternate in research, but generally we kind of talk about, like, oh, I'm going to do this topic this week, blah, blah. And then so you have, like, a vague idea. I don't even know what you're doing this week.
Did you not look at the chat?
Clearly not.
Bro.
No.
Okay,
A
so...
single image was all you needed.
Yeah. Okay, so anyone who knows me, like, even halfway well, or has spent more than about 5 minutes talking with me about Star Wars or something like that, knows that I love lore. Like, anything with a deep lore.
Lore is great.
You know?
I thought you just meant law as in, like, what, like politics and, like, law, and I was like,
Yes.
okay.
No. L-O-R-E.
Yeah.
He really
Lore.
loves government law.
Yeah,
He's
I was
really
like,
into
oh,
that.
alright, you know.
I mean, I'm a big fan of legal stuff.
Legal
I don't know where I was
action.
going with that. Again, brain fried. And aliens.
Yeah, no, I did see that because I replied to it and I was like, yes, but because I know, like, the meme, I was just kind of like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, well-
It didn't, like, I didn't connect the
Aliens.
So
dots.
it's the only
Yeah,
person I'm like, this must be the topic.
I didn't connect those
Oh,
dots.
yeah.
I was just like, okay.
I connect them, but I was still like,
Yeah, no, I just sent that for fun.
Yeah, I thought so. It's you two. Like, you just send anything, just no context, and I just have to be like, alright.
I mean,
That
yeah, I
sucks.
suppose we have entire conversations through memes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last time there was a long,
Yeah, my parents were very confused.
it's in the family group chat.
Yeah.
Alright, lots of Star Wars memes. Brilliant.
Yeah, I tried to pivot to Lord of the Rings, but you guys weren't having it.
Oh, I don't have any Lord of the Rings. I've got like a small number.
I saw Lord of the Rings a very long time ago. I'm not too
the anime
invested in
on
that
Disney?
universe. Harry Potter's where it's at.
Harry Potter universe is pretty shallow, let's be honest.
I mean, yeah.
The books are good.
The books are good,
Let-
but the
let's
universe,
Mind you,
in its
it's-
entirety, the
Let's
lore,
just
shallow.
ignore everything that happened after the last book, like
Yeah.
particularly
Yeah, it's fair.
within the realm of social media and such. Fuck J.K. Rowling.
The world isn't very
Moving
fleshed
on.
out, though.
But I mean, it's expanding with Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, but then it gets fucked up.
Yeah, it
Those-
does.
Those movies are not that great.
No, I only
haven't even seen
saw.
the second one.
I think I've only seen the
I
first
don't mind
one.
the first one. I started watching the second one, I got bored.
See, the first one, if you don't connect it to the Harry Potter universe, it's actually like alright. But as soon as you try and make any sort of connections, you're kind of like,
Okay, aliens.
yeah, aliens.
Let's start our actual topic.
Pivoting right to aliens. Okay, so as I said, doing this research fried my brain because, as you might imagine, there is a lot of information
Oh,
out
yeah.
there. And
Definitely.
none of it, like, agrees with anything else.
I don't want to like take away from your research as well, but did you see the thing like recently with the Canadian government?
Canadian companies?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, is that part of your research? Can we just?
No.
Okay. So apparently, two members of the Canadian, like the special defense leader and someone else. I don't remember who it was exactly, but they've pretty much said that like aliens do exist. There's about 60 species of aliens that they've counted or
Okay, well, I
documented.
didn't research 60.
No, but like, I literally just saw this in like a little
Yeah.
like, quote unquote
That was
facts
that was
post.
a while ago. That was like a couple of years
Yeah.
ago now, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
it's popped up again recently, but they
Yeah.
pretty much have said like aliens do exist. Some of them do live on Earth, and they've kind of just like
Mm.
accepted how we do things.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And it was like a special defense minister, so it was like kind of legit. But because coronavirus, nobody really cared. They were just like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that about makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. So they're like, we've literally said aliens exist, and everyone's like, yeah, that seems about right.
You need like other governments to corroborate that, though.
Yeah.
For it to seem legit.
Well, yeah.
And nobody's really going to plan on doing that because if there were aliens, they're probably getting exploited. And governments just want the technology for themselves, I'm assuming.
Honestly, yeah. But yeah, they said that they had like 60, not species, but like races of alien documented, and I was like,
That's a lot.
cool. not even just like 4 or 5, that's 60.
That's a fair few.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Cool, right. So, yeah, so there's a lot of information out there, and as I said, none of it like corroborates anything else. Like everyone has different things that they believe are actually happening. So what I'm gonna try to do is run down the like main species of aliens that are
Thought to be.
out there, how they like relate to each other and what they are doing.
Right. So just a civilization.
We're talking about the alien agenda, basically. I think that should be the title.
Yeah.
The alien agenda.
Why have they come?
Why they do the things they do if people say they do these things?
Yeah.
So
All right.
Take it with a grain of salt, but
Oh yeah. I just
Yeah, no, because all our
Yeah,
other
but-
podcasts so far, you have to take it as law. Yeah, everything else we've said.
obviously
Yeah,
the last podcast, all real.
yeah,
All
yes.
the SCP's real.
Oh,
That'd
yeah.
be terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
I would panic. Probably. I'd be like, yeah, the world's gonna end in a
I
second.
just
Could you
treat it the same
imagine?
as everything else. I don't think about it.
Like that's the
Well,
thing though. Like even though obviously not to that extent, there are like some of those underground facilities. Like they do exist somewhere.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
there's probably some weird shit going on.
I feel like that's the
Yeah.
weirdest thing is that humans. I know this is about aliens, but humans are like such a diverse thing. Like because if you look at like tigers
We're
or something
far
like
too inquisitive.
yeah, like look at tigers. You're not going to see one tiger and like it's too different to the other one, or like monkeys, whatever. Like they're not too different comparatively, but like look at humans. You can get humans that are like 1 foot tall. You can get them that are like 7 foot tall. Yeah, the different brain capacities. Also, like there's such a variation in humans, and yet now we have aliens that are just completely different. Like thrown that into the mix as well. We can barely like govern ourselves though. So I don't know how we've managed to keep aliens a secret if we have found them.
Yeah, a world government would be nice.
A what
I
government?
mean, the United Nations is kind of a world government, sort of.
Oh,
almost,
world government. Yeah.
But like,
New
not
World
really.
Order, Illuminati.
Yeah, but could you
One
imagine
world
if
government.
imagine if it was like all the presidents and like prime ministers and whatever of each country were like the world government, but Trump?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, but if you think if one person's in charge of the entire planet, they're not gonna. They can't attack another country if they're already in charge of the entire world.
True. I reckon it should be Queen Elizabeth. You know, she's managed to stick. She's stuck around for so long.
Yes, Institute of Global Monarchy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's not
She's
get into that.
so
Let's
old.
protect the
No, you know who it
monarchy.
should be? Betty White. Betty White just turned 99.
She
Like,
did.
and she's
Saw
still
that, yeah.
acting. She's still on that grind.
What a
She
queen.
should run the world.
Mental.
Yeah, exactly.
Mental.
She should run the world.
We stand our queen. Betty White, jeez. Okay, so yeah, I've done my best to
Condense.
yeah sort this into a kind of cohesive narrative.
Yeah.
But like, if anyone listening to this who knows like anything about like any of these topics I'm going to talk about, it probably knows way more than me, or like something completely different.
It's definitely a rabbit hole to fall down. Like, you start researching one thing and you
yeah,
just keep
no,
going and clicking and going.
Yeah, don't even get me started.
I'm assuming it's
Took
also
hours
quite
yesterday.
hard to differentiate at some point whether what you're reading is a real account or a fictional account.
Quote unquote
That's
real.
gonna be quite annoying. I would
Yeah,
think.
so to cite my sources,
It's got
Wikipedia.
well, yeah,
sites.
Wikipedia is
Damn.
actually really useful. Like the reference system that they have
Yeah.
in place, and the fact that a lot of it is moderated by Wikipedia people.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's-
I
it's-
hated
it's
when
actually-
teachers were like, Wikipedia is not a real like source and
It's like,
reference.
shut up. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Screw them. You know what? We've probably talked about this on previous episodes, but what I would do for school assignments, for like research assignments and stuff, is I would use Wikipedia, and then I would like the passage that I took information from, I would check which reference it like.
Oh,
linked
what they
back
got
to,
it from?
and then I would reference that in the bibliography.
Uh,
Oh.
Like I would never reference Wikipedia. I would reference the references.
Damn, that's actually really smart. See,
Yeah.
I just didn't care enough
Never
to
got called
do
out
it.
on it.
Yeah, I just didn't care enough. I was just like, no.
Yeah. I did get accused of plagiarism once by the head of English
Yeah.
Really?
because I guess like she didn't think that I could write like that way, but you guys know the way that I talk.
Yeah.
Like I use a lot of big words.
Mm.
Yeah.
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 So that's when I write, I can like, because obviously I'm not like, because when you speak, you know, it's word after word after word, like, you have to think about that sort of brain pattern, but when you're writing, you can sit and think about how you're going to form a sentence.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I always wrote way more formal than I spoke, and they'd always be like,
And I think that's the case for a lot of people, yeah.
I'd be like, so who helped you with this? And I'd be like,
I
I
think
did.
my teacher in year 13 got really confused because in year 12 I was writing like achieved pieces.
yeah.
Year 13 I straight whipped out a creative story that was using past, present, and future tenses and an excellence. She was like,
Damn.
"What the fuck?" It was like, I don't know what I did. It just
He
happened.
upped his skill game,
Yeah,
level
it
up.
came out of nowhere. I'm like, cool, I'll take the excellence. This is great.
Thanks,
Yeah.
fam.
Okay, so yeah,
Aliens.
so see, Wikipedia is a good, like, base level, you know, general knowledge
Yeah.
kind of thing. Also cited the, it's a fandom site, right? You know those
Yeah.
fandom wikis
Yeah.
that you get? Was it aliens.fandom.com?
Yes.
And I had to be careful. I was very careful because there's a lot of articles here, not only on the real life alien species that are purported to exist, but they also have like all the fictional alien species.
Yeah.
So I was very careful to make sure that the ones that I was looking at were in fact related to reality and not fiction.
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't
Not,
I
not
was
like
initially,
Paul.
one of the species I had on my list was the Arcturians, which I have heard reference to in UFO culture, but couldn't find anything on them other than the Arcturians from Star Trek. So I was very like, made sure that it was like, because so I threw that out, and the Arcturians are related to another species that I'll talk about. I'll get into that once we're into the actual meat of the episode. Yeah, so aliens.fandom, and also people probably will have heard of this site if they're into the UFO scene. Bibliotheca Pleiades.
Biblioteca.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an awesome reference site. They have like tens of thousands of documents.
What was the actual site? 'Cause all I can remember now is Biblioteca.
Bibliotheca Pleiades. Pleiades spelt Pleiades. And that's the Spanish spelling of it.
Yeah.
Because it's a joint English and Spanish site.
Yeah.
On the front page it says they have about a third of their articles are in Spanish and the rest are in English.
Yeah.
And yeah,
What is the translation of the name? Because
Pleiades Library.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the Pleiades once we get into the meat.
okay.
Sounds like a celestial body.
Well.
A what?
Celestial
Oh,
body.
celestial. I thought you said a slit to
Yeah.
your body, and I
No.
went, I'm sorry.
Celestial body. Anything in space, pretty much. That's
You
like,
need to enunciate your words, boy.
fight me.
Oh my god. Okay, so Bibliotheca Pleiades. A lot of great information. Some of the articles are a bit difficult to read.
Janky.
What, is it like direct translation, or?
No, it's just the way that they're written.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you can imagine the kinds of people who are, no offense, imagine the kinds of people who are, involved in UFO culture, like super deep involved, and the way that they would write something out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With in reference to what they believe
Yeah,
to
yeah,
be
yeah.
true. Yeah, some of it is a lot to get through, but super good source of information on all this kind of topic stuff.
Right.
Cool. So, as we get started, I'm just going to say I don't necessarily disbelieve in the existence of aliens.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody should at this point.
Yeah. What's that equation?
I know what you're talking about, but
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Equation,
It's an
like,
equation that figures out the number of likely alien species in the universe or whatever.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I just
it's like-
don't think you could be like, aliens don't exist, because, like, even if it's not in our galaxy, like, how many galaxies are there in total? Like,
Fucking.
so many. So even if, like...
the Drake equation, that's what it's called.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah.
So it's this big, it's like multiplying numbers upon numbers. It's the, let's see, here it is. It's the mean rate of star formation multiplied by the fraction of stars that have planets, by the mean number of planets that could support life per star with planets, by the fraction of life-supporting planets that develop life, by the fraction of planets where life develops intelligence, by the fraction of intelligent civilizations that develop communication, by the mean length of time that civilizations can communicate, equals the number of civilizations with which humans could communicate. And generally, that number
that's
ends
very
up
complicated.
that number ends up being a few thousand
Yeah.
within
So-
within the galaxy, within the
Within
Milky Way.
our... Oh, damn.
Yeah, I
so
think.
that's pretty hefty.
I think.
Because you
That's-
wouldn't be able to calculate it in some era we haven't been able to map. Like,
Well,
the
yeah, true.
habitable
See, I
planets.
understood all of those individually, but as a full equation, my brain is just like, what?
No, don't even try.
Yeah.
It's whack.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
so-
think it's that complicated, but like too many words.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the current estimates. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah.
It's just highly.
Okay, so I can't find the current estimates, but in 1961, when this equation was developed by Dr. Frank Drake, his the estimate with the minimum numbers available was 20, and the maximum estimate was 50 million.
Ah,
Yeah,
so only a small mean of error then.
yeah, and
just a bit.
let's see. Drake states that given the uncertainties, the original meeting concluded that N equals L. There were probably between 1,000 and 100 million planets with civilizations in the Milky Way galaxy.
Planets with civilization.
Currently.
It's
So,
so
yeah.
weird because when you think of like our little solar system, blah, 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 our little solar system, like you don't think there's that many planets. Like we're actually so insignificant.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And my my philosophy, at least for the past few years, has been either there is like either we are alone in the galaxy
Mm.
or we're not, and both possibilities are equally terrifying. So I just don't
Yeah.
think about it.
Honestly, yeah, because that's the thing. If we're alone, it's like why us? If we're not alone, it's like where are they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
It might also be the fact that the universe does not allow, given its laws, to actually get to a point where you can find another civilization. That's also
Yeah.
kind of scary.
Wow, there's a lot of theories about
Yeah.
that which we could get into.
Yo, let's get an El Cubieri drive. Let's go. I reckon.
Oh dear. All right, so shall we get into the meat of the episode?
Yeah, I feel like you probably have a hefty amount of information anyway, and
I think I've
because
used
we
that
shit
phrase.
talk for so long, we probably
Yeah.
should get straight into it.
Yeah, it was like over 15 minutes now. Almost.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Almost 20.
It gets longer and longer every episode. We're like, oh, I only got 2 references. Oh, well, we'll talk for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if we go over an hour. Like, we can have a longer episode.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Easily.
It's just
Alright.
kind of the ballpark.
Also, I think I've used that phrase, the meat of the episode, a good 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's move on
Let's
before
go,
I make it
please.
any more uncomfortable than it needs to be. So, yeah, the first species that we're going to talk about is the big one, the one that everyone knows about. I am, of course, referring to the Greys.
The Greys.
The Greys. Yeah. So
I
yeah.
have
The,
no idea what you're
Grace?
on about.
no.
No.
Well, usually.
Okay. Think of a stereotypical pop culture alien.
It's
what do you-
green.
Or
Green.
Yeah. Like, look at every,
Green
like...
if you're going cartoonish. Grey if you're looking at, like,
Okay.
generalized.
There are
Okay, yeah.
there are next to no abduction reports that
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
include
see,
I think
green
green
coloration.
aliens are
Green
more
is
of like
the-
an artistic representation.
It's
Yeah.
it's generally, but yeah, but
I just love you were like, everybody knows this, and you said the Greys, and I was like,
yeah.
no.
Okay,
Blank.
So yeah, we're talking like 3 to 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
Like grey skin.
Big black
real
eyes.
Lanky, weird proportions.
Big
Big heads. Big black eyes. No nose, ears, genitals.
Yeah.
All that. Classic pop
Vibing.
culture alien. Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah.
Paul.
Paul. Yep.
Yeah, Paul.
Yep. Yeah. So these are the Greys are they're the bad guys in the galaxy.
Bad
Like,
fellas.
yeah, they're the ones that you don't want to be abducted by.
The Empire.
What, the anal probing aliens?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Surgical experiments,
Big
brainwashing,
Gilgamesh,
Take me to your
hypnosis stuff. Yeah. These guys are. Yeah, you don't want to be abducted by these guys.
Wankers. That's
Um,
what they are.
Yeah, so these guys had they've been in the public conscious for around, I'd say, 130 years.
Yeah.
There was so within fiction, H.G. Wells was the first one to envision this kind of
Being.
Remind
being.
me what H.G. Wells.
H.G. Wells, author, War of the Worlds,
Oh,
A
okay,
Time
yeah,
Machine.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Cool.
So is he the first person to mention aliens, or?
The specific grey.
Oh,
type
okay,
of
yeah,
alien.
yeah.
Right.
He. An article. Okay. This was a non-fiction article. It was published in 1893. It was called "Man of the Year Million," and he kind of envisioned humanity possibly evolving into this kind of being. Grey-skinned, about 1 meter tall, big heads, large oval-shaped black eyes. Yeah, and he then in 1901 published a book called "The First Men," the First Men in the Moon, and that was the way that he described the. This is a fiction book story.
Right.
This is how he described the natives of the moon in his narrative, which he called the Selenites.
Did he make this up, or was he
Yes.
like? No, not the
Yes.
book. I'm just saying, like when you said that, like the first mention of the Greys and all that. Did he base it off some sort of encounter he had, or was it all completely fiction?
I don't know. I'm assuming he just kind of thought it up.
And then everyone was like, you know what, that's real.
Yeah. And also in War of the Worlds, published in 1898, he described aliens resembling the Greys that were brought down to Earth by the Martians as a food source.
Right.
So yeah.
Wait, what? Wait.
Are you familiar with War of the Worlds?
No.
Okay.
Terrifying.
The scientists, astronomers, observe these explosions on the surface of Mars.
Yeah.
And then these alien craft crash on Earth, and then out of them come these big tripod machines that start walking around and killing humans and turning them into fertilizer and spraying it all over the planet. Basically,
is this a movie or a?
It was a book published in 1898.
Yeah.
And then it's been adapted a lot of times.
So I was about to say, I feel like I've seen movies like that.
There's a movie earlier on that was with Tom Cruise.
Okay, so so there was an adaptation. There was a film adaptation. No, it was a miniseries.
Yeah.
There was a miniseries adaptation in the 70s.
Yeah.
Or 60s. I think it was the late 60s. Where the tripods were envisioned as flying saucers, because obviously that was the thing back then.
Yeah.
There was a very famous broadcast back in the I'd say mid-50s by Orson Welles, who was a very popular actor back then. And that you can read about that everywhere.
Yeah.
He basically did a radio play broadcast of the book, complete with sound effects and stuff.
Yeah.
As if it was happening. And people like to say that this caused a panic, like a nationwide panic, but it didn't really. It
was hugely exaggerated.
They got a I think the station and the cops got a lot of calls in, asking if it was real.
Yeah.
But there was nowhere near the level of mass hysteria that people remember it having. But that was a very famous broadcast. And then they in 2005 Steven Spielberg adapted it for a film.
I wonder if we could find a recording
Tom
of that.
Cruise and Dakota Fanning. Hey?
I wonder if we could find a recording of that broadcast.
Oh yeah. There's clips online. I can find one now if you want.
I was about to say we should post that on Twitter or something, or Instagram, because we have that now.
Or just the tripod noise.
Cute little segue into that. Follow us, ZeroFunction P on. No, yeah.
Is it not ZeroFunction Pod?
Pod. There we go. That's it.
ZeroFunction
ZeroFunction Pod on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah.
I've posted one tweet.
I probably just find the tripod noise. It's not.
My
I just wanted to see the broadcast. I wonder if UFOs were such a thing, because that was real big in the 60s and 70s. Everyone was tripping on all sorts of shit though back then.
Oh yeah.
That was the time for wow, peace, hippie, love. Blah. There was a lot of stuff going around. Surely they just saw some shit on a trip and was like, whoa, UFOs, man.
Yeah, they were very much in the public consciousness at that time.
Yeah.
So just, as an aside from the main topic, this is the we'll splice this into the recording properly, but just so you guys can hear, this is the sound of the tripods from the 2005 film. Just let it load for a second.
I thought your sound was off, and I was
this
like,
is fucking spooky, man. this noise gave me nightmares.
And in the movie, there's like this weird suction fleshy thing that like sucks people out of this cage that they're in the tripod. It's like, oh.
I don't think I've seen that movie, but that sound is awful. Because see, if you're staring at it, right, you know where the sound's coming from. Could you imagine if, like, being in your house and then just randomly hearing that and being like, what?
And then you look out the window and then you see the tripod. Like,
Yeah.
Oh.
Like,
panic.
World end. Because what do you do at that point? You can't run. Like, what are you running from?
I mean, they're mechanical,
Yeah.
so you could destroy them.
Well,
Are you going up to that thing and, like, just as you are now? Not in some sort of movie
Well,
superhero.
that's like how they appear, like the first time you see them in the film.
Yeah.
They're massive. There's
Yeah.
no way you are going to be like, it's mechanical, let's destroy it. Your first instinct seeing that is, I'm a GTFO.
Yeah.
Drive a car into
And I mean,
it.
there's this scene where like all these people are getting on this ferry to get away from the city, and they're all on it. It's loaded up and it's about to leave, and they hear that noise, and then like 3 tripods come over the hill,
Yeah.
and like start moving towards the ferry, and it's like ugh, and that
That's
noise.
shit.
I
I mean,
was
it's not shit,
8 years old
scary.
when that movie came out, and
Damn.
oh,
Yeah.
Wait, your
Oh,
parents let
yeah.
you watch it?
bits of it. They let me watch.
They
the
let
second
me
half of
watch
Titanic.
it, and I'm younger than him.
Yeah. Well, I used to.
You were 4.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the first horror movie I remembered that I was terrified by.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
I've
Yeah.
never
Well, it's
seen
not
this movie.
necessarily
I have to
horror,
watch
it's
this now.
like terrorism.
I mean, our parents are pretty great. They recorded Titanic off of the TV.
Yeah.
Because I was obsessed with the Titanic as a kid, and
Leonardo
they wouldn't let me,
DiCaprio, I mean.
well, they wouldn't let me watch
Man.
they wouldn't let me watch the first half.
Yeah.
You know, with all the romance plot stuff,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the second half where the ship's actually sinking.
Where everyone dies? Yeah,
I watched
sick.
that.
Fun.
I watched that so many times because I was fascinated with the story of the Titanic.
You know,
Yeah.
it explains a lot.
Yeah, we watched a lot of, like,
It doesn't
gory
now.
stuff. We watched a lot of things we probably shouldn't have been watching.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So
We turned out fine.
I was gonna find
See, I was the complete opposite. Like, you know the movie The Heat with Sandra Bullock and what's her face, Melissa McCarthy. Melissa, what's it? Anyway,
That's probably right.
yeah, point me. That was an R16 movie. I think I was 17 or 18 before I watched it.
Yikes.
Because when it first came out, my sister was allowed to. I think it's because my sister's she doesn't like that sort of stuff, so that she was kind of the bar for what I was allowed to watch.
Oh.
Whereas because she wasn't into that sort of stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Like my mum's like, you know what, Shemaine didn't like it, so you probably won't like it. And I was like, nah, this is my stuff, man.
Please, I'll beg of you. Should we get back onto the thing?
Oh yeah, we're just waiting while he tries to find.
Good chance. We're almost at 30 minutes.
play
Yes.
here I'll play you an excerpt from the actual radio play that Orson Welles did.
Oh yeah, that's what we were talking about before. Lol.
Yeah, so yeah, well, I found
Just adding
it.
into Conall's editing time.
So yeah, again, we'll I'll send you the link to this and we can splice it into the.
Yeah, that'll make it easier
actual
for me.
episode. You're the editor. Do your job.
I'm not a good editor though.
You'll get better. Yeah, so this is an excerpt from the actual radio play.
Spooky.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt our program of dance music to bring you a special bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News. At 20 minutes before 8 Central Time, Professor Farrell of the Mount Jennings Observatory, Chicago, Illinois, reports observing several explosions of incandescent gas occurring at regular intervals on the planet Mars. The spectroscope indicates the gas to be hydrogen and moving toward the Earth with enormous velocity. Professor Pearson of the observatory at Princeton confirms Farrell's observation and describes the phenomenon as, quote, like a jet of blue flame shot from a gun, unquote. We now return you to the music of Ramon Raquello, playing for you in the Meridian Room of the Park Plaza Hotel, situated in downtown New York.
Yeah. So that was like the beginning of
Yeah.
the broadcast, and so it wasn't set up as a fictional piece. It was set up
Yeah.
as reality.
Yeah, I
And he
can
was
get how
actually-
people would be like, wait, what?
Yeah, especially
Hold
like
on.
yeah. I think
Especially in the 70s where there's like no other, like it's not like you can text someone and be like, yo, is this happening? Like there
yeah.
was no like fast news.
So yeah, that was the War of the Worlds broadcast, or an excerpt from it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the most famous, the two most famous incidents involving the Greys, I think, were the Roswell Incident in 1947.
Right.
alien spacecraft supposedly crashed outside the town of Corona, New Mexico, and that was
Coincidence? I think not.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah.
oh boy, contrary to popular belief, God, that may have sounded good to you, but my mouth is not working today. Contrary to popular belief, the incident actually didn't happen near Roswell. It happened near the neighbouring town of Corona. But because it was reported at Roswell, and the debris was taken to the Roswell Army base, I believe, which was like where they like it was nuke central back in the 40s. Like this is where they were developing the Trinity program.
Oh.
Yes, which was a nuclear weapons program that the United States was operating back in the 40s, following the Second World War. So that's why it's known as a Roswell. And obviously the common belief is that I think it's generally 2 alien passengers or crewmen were recovered from the wreckage. That's the conspiracy theory. But yeah, and the other incident was the abduction of Betty and Barney Hill, which you guys might have heard of. No, okay, it's like one of the most famous abduction stories. Yeah. Okay,
they're all the same usually. So
yeah. That's the thing. I don't actually know much about, like, obviously everyone hears about the basic stuff about aliens, but I don't think I've ever actually investigated any sort of actual stories or anything like that.
Okay, so,
I generally don't.
Betty and Barney Hill were a couple who were supposedly abducted in 1961. They were driving on a back road. I don't remember where they were. But yeah, they saw, like, a bright flash of light and supposedly this thing following them, and then they experienced like several hours of lost time, and then 4 years later they reported it, and it became this massive thing. They underwent hypnosis therapy to recall details, and that's where the first description of the Greys, like actually in the public eye was. That's where that came from.
A couple of years later.
4 years. So the incident supposedly happened in 1961, and they first reported it in 1965.
I feel like after that amount of time, like, because like what was happening to them in 4 years that they suddenly went, you know what,
Well,
that thing that happened 4 years ago, maybe we should bring that up.
I think it was like Barney was like, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want anything to do with it. Let's not tell anyone about it. Let's just go on with our lives.
That's fair.
Which as a black man in the 60s, I can understand that.
Oh, yeah.
He just didn't want anything to do with it. He didn't want to bring attention to himself or that. Betty was white. They were a mixed couple.
Betty was white.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to make that joke.
Sake. Yeah. I should have seen that coming.
Yep.
We stand that yeah. So I think she. I don't actually remember how it came about. It's been a while since I researched this, but I think she got talking with someone else who had experienced something similar, and went to hypnosis, like a hypnotist to like recall this, and then went to the media, and so it basically came out in 1965, 4 years later. And one of the things that she reported was that they came from the aliens that abducted them. Like, she gave the description, the classic grey alien physical description. She said that they came from the Zeta Reticuli system.
What?
And she referred to them. She didn't refer to them as greys. She called them Zeta Reticulans. And she actually produced a drawing of a star chart of the Zeta Reticuli system.
Wait, that's the name that she came up with?
Yeah, well, that's the name that she says they like referred to themselves as, and they, they told her that they came from Zeta Reticuli, which is a binary star system located in the Reticulan constellation. And this constellation is actually visible from the southern hemisphere.
Oh.
And it's located about 39.3 light years from Earth, which is about 12 parsecs.
Neato.
12 what?
Parsecs.
Parsecs.
Yeah.
Okay, so layman's terms?
A parsec is a light year is pretty obvious. That's the
Yeah.
that's the distance that light travels over a year of
Yeah.
time. A parsec is it's used. I'm not actually entirely sure what it is. It's to do with the relation between an astronomical unit and the parallax observed by a moving celestial body.
You know what?
Big-
Sure. Sure.
Big words,
Cool.
science.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I looked it up. I tried to understand it.
Yeah.
Like how it's calculated. Didn't work.
Yeah.
Um,
You know what? Fair. Science.
Yeah. So, where am I? Okay, so yeah, and greys are incredibly common in abduction narratives.
Yeah.
Within the United States, they make up about 73% of reported alien encounters. About 12% in the United Kingdom, 48% in continental Europe, and 50% in Australia.
Damn.
So pretty common.
See, that's the thing, like, with people who are like, aliens don't exist. How do you explain that many encounters then? Like, if it was like,
Well,
if it was like 10 or 12,
people,
yeah, I know, but if it was like 10 or 12 encounters, whatever, like, if it was just in the United States or just somewhere, then you can kind of be like, yeah, but people across the globe.
I mean, there's a lot of
people like attention.
Oh, yeah,
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 there's
yeah.
that. And there's a lot of potential explanations. You know, you could go with sleep paralysis. You know, the
true.
idea that
Yeah.
you know this has happened. A quick explanation: sleep paralysis is a phenomenon where when you're asleep, your body kind of paralyzes itself to prevent you from So if you have a dream where you're, let's say, running from something or
Yeah.
fighting something, your body, when you enter
Sleep paralysis.
REM sleep, rapid
Oh,
eye
yeah, yeah,
movement sleep, which is where which is when you dream, your body paralyzes itself. Like, it releases a chemical that keeps you from moving, acting out your dreams, which obviously keeps you from hurting yourself when you're asleep.
Yeah.
And sleep paralysis, sleep paralysis occurs when you wake up from REM sleep, but you're not quite awake yet.
Yeah.
And the paralysis hasn't worn off.
Mhm.
Because obviously, as you wake up naturally, it kind of wears off, and you're
Yeah,
able
yeah.
to move around when you wake up. But yeah, basically
It's
you.
not great. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah. I've experienced it. It was during the day,
Oh,
thankfully.
that's much better.
Yeah.
It's in the middle of the night for me at
Oh,
3
Jesus.
o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh, witching hour.
Yep. Yep, because I looked at my phone afterwards. I mean, I kind of yeah. No, it wasn't great. I was lying in my bed at the end of the hallway. My bedroom was the end of the hallway in our house. And my bed is facing towards the door. So I'm lying there, kind of like this. I can't. It's audio, so I can't be straight. But I was lying on my back, facing the door, and I got paralyzed. And I'm like, oh shit, because I've been watching videos earlier in the day about sleep paralysis, which is
Oh,
probably
God.
what
It's
triggered it.
it's possible that you had a subconscious reaction to
Yeah,
that.
subconscious reaction. So I'm there, and I hear these footsteps coming down the hallway, and I'm like,
Did you see anything?
oh fuck, no, thankfully,
Okay.
because I know with sleep paralysis sometimes if it's if you're not chronically, if you're not a person who doesn't usually get it, you can be like, right,
Yeah.
this isn't happening, fuck off. You can kind of
Yeah.
stop the hallucination.
Mm.
Yeah, I was just swearing out into the dark.
Good
Yeah, like,
job.
nah, fuck off, bitch, go away. that kind of thing. And nothing appeared, thankfully.
Yeah.
Just the footsteps, and then I managed to finally move. I looked at my phone, it was 3 o'clock about, and I'm like, okay, cool. Back to sleep. Woke up again with sleep paralysis.
Jeez.
No footsteps that time though, but I was still paralyzed. I'm like,
Yeah.
cool.
God.
No.
It is one of the worst feelings ever.
Yeah, mine would have been probably about mid-afternoon. I was lying on my bed watching something on my laptop, something on Netflix, I think.
Yeah.
And I remember I had a mouse on a
Yeah,
mouse
yeah.
pad at my side, and I just fallen asleep with my head propped up, had a nap. Kind of half woke up, and couldn't move. I could kind of move my index finger.
Yeah.
I was tapping on the mouse, and
you get like a little bit of movement, but
yeah.
nothing major.
And I was trying to call out to someone, but all I could make was this like kind of noise.
Really, because I could speak. But
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I couldn't. Yeah, and then I don't know how long it was, but I like kind of realized what was happening.
Yeah.
And then just thought, okay, I just need to go back to sleep, and this will be fine. So I did eventually manage to get back to sleep. Woke up, totally fine.
Yeah. I would.
It was weird, but not scary. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't have the hallucination.
Yeah.
I would have been in a much bigger panic if I hadn't watched the video earlier that day on it.
Right. Yeah.
So I immediately understood what was happening. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a common thing with sleep paralysis is because of what your body is doing to keep you paralyzed. A lot of people report a kind of like pressure on their chest, and in some cases, because you're in the dark, hallucinations.
Yeah.
And in the past, this the phenomenon was referred to as old Hag Syndrome, because a lot of people reported, with that feeling of pressure on their chest, they reported something like sitting on their chest, looking at them.
Yeah.
Usually like a demon or an old woman.
Yeah.
Something. And
It's like
in
shadow people in the corners of the room.
yeah,
so,
and in recent years, it's been hypothesized that sleep paralysis is an explanation for a lot of alien encounters.
Mm.
Like people, at night in their bed, they wake up, they can't move, and something's something's in the room with them.
Yeah.
You know?
Is it hypothesized like that's the effect of being in the same room as an alien, or like the
No,
after
it's
effects?
No, it's just something that your body is doing, and your mind interprets it as.
Oh
alien.
yeah, I see you now. I see you now.
Because obviously, aliens are a lot more a part of the cultural zeitgeist than demons or witches or whatever.
And it seems that if you're aware of something or you've been affected by something recently, like with me, I watched the video earlier that day.
Yeah.
And that night I had the sleep paralysis, so it seems that stuff, depending on the time you've had it, affects that. So somebody's been reading about aliens or something and they end up having the dream and then the hallucination. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, plenty of times I'll watch something during the day and then I'll have a dream and I'll be like, I wonder what. Oh yeah, no.
Yeah. So if you are more open to the idea of the existence of aliens and alien abductions, and you experience sleep paralysis,
Yeah.
you're just going to be more likely to interpret it as an abduction scenario.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the same thing with being hypnotized. A lot of people who can't be hypnotized is because they're not actually. I hate that. I'm looping this back. Don't you give me those looks? But like, it's because they're.
He's the one looking at the timestamp.
Yeah. No, it's because like they're not like they're what do you call it? Disbelieving, I guess. Like, you need to be open to the idea of being hypnotized to be hypnotized. If you're going into it like, oh, this isn't going to work, it probably won't. Yeah. Because hypnosis is like a thing of the brain. So if your brain is actively being like, no, it's not going to work. So it's probably the same thing with that. Like when you watch stuff and open to the idea, except I wouldn't probably open my mind all the way up to aliens because, I'm pretty okay with how I'm living right now, having no encounters. Not going to lie.
Yeah.
I'm okay just reading about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm on board with that.
Because like, if you're running into another whole civilization, they're gonna have some sort of weird theology, or they're gonna have some sort of different outlook on life, and you don't know what that's gonna cause. What's gonna happen to you.
It'd be like if you could all of a sudden understand animals, and they're just like, okay, well, you gotta like do things like us. It's like you're like, no.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so
ignorance is bliss.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So the Greys, as I said before, the bad guys on the, in the global, the
Galactic scale.
galactic ecosystem.
Yes.
Yeah. And abductions involving them are a lot of the time described as traumatic, and a lot of former abductees, when they undergo hypnosis therapy, they respond to reliving those memories. They respond similarly to victims of sexual assault or kidnapping.
Yeah.
Like terrestrial abduction.
Yeah.
Right.
And often in the aftermath of an abduction will experience post-traumatic stress similar to military veterans or sexual assault survivors.
Yeah.
So very traumatic experiences.
Yeah.
These abductions. And as to what they want, we don't know. The most common theories are that they're just conducting research on different alien species, that they're genetically manipulating us, possibly developing human-alien hybrids, which
Honestly,
which becomes a thing later on.
Yeah, that seems most likely. Also, how many species did you cover? Because I just...
Probably about half a dozen.
Oh, that's not that bad.
Yeah, but we're on one.
We'll get through this.
We can go to like an hour 30.
We've had a lot of tangents, and we spent like the first 20 minutes just bullshitting, so we'll get through this.
That's fine.
And there's also a theory amongst this community that the Greys are possibly genetically engineered or have been hybridized by the Reptilians to be a slave race. And we'll get into that. So the
Throwback to our conspiracy theory episode.
So the next race that I'm going to talk about is one that you might have heard of, the Pleiadians, also known in some circles as the Nordics.
The Nordics?
Yeah. So,
okay.
this species is from the Pleiades Cluster, which you talked about earlier.
Familiar with the name.
Also known in Te Reo Māori as Matariki. You might have heard of that.
Huh.
It's related to the Māori New Year.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
When the Pleiades constellation rises, it like signifies the start of the Māori New Year. Some tribes will celebrate it like when they first see the constellation rise. Some of them will celebrate it at the next full moon or new moon after it appears. And the Pleiades cluster is a cluster of 7 stars. Approximately 444 light years or 136.2 parsecs from Earth. Also, fun fact, it's the symbol of the Subaru motor company.
Really?
In Korea? Subaru's Korean, right?
No.
Or is that Hyundai?
I think that's Japanese.
Well, wherever they're from. Subaru was they were a merger of 6 different auto tech companies, I think. So they use the 7 stars of the Pleiades as their logo.
Awesome.
Yeah, if you see a Subaru, look at the logo. It's the 7 stars. It's the Pleiades constellation.
Subaru are behind alien abductions.
They're
behind all the abductions.
Oh no!
Oh no!
It's just market research. Okay, so the Pleiadians are they're not actually physical beings.
Oh.
They are 5-dimensional beings of light.
Yo.
What is 5-dimensional again?
I don't know.
Good question.
I don't know.
Cool.
We don't really know what the 4th dimension is.
No, because 4D is like including your other senses like sound, smell.
Well,
in terms of
Well, like people who believe in the Pleiadians believe that Earth passed through the like 8th, 7th, 6th dimensions, like on its way down through the cosmic scale to where it eventually ended up, and the Pleiadians in the 5th dimension were the last ones to form humanity into their current form.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Sure.
They are supposedly responsible for seeding human life on Earth. And
wait, seeding as in like making us?
Yeah. Pretty much,
like planting the seeds of human life
the genetic
on Earth.
material.
Yeah,
cool.
And that they manipulate. They have been manipulating our genetic code through evolution to cause us to physically resemble them.
So maybe they're one of the species living among us, like that government
well, if
guy
they're literally
said.
made of light, they could be.
Again, we'll get to that. The Pleiadians are generally portrayed as benevolent. We supposedly have compatible souls and consciousness between Pleiadians and humans.
I could be an alien. Who knows?
Well,
I could be an alien.
There's a
there's a matching Pleiadian to a matching human?
Not necessarily. Even in the research that I did, it's not very clear, like, the entire belief that is around these guys. Are you familiar with the concept of starseeds? Or indigo children?
No,
and it sounds familiar, but no, not really.
Okay, so the theory behind starseeds is that certain humans were replaced, not physically but spiritually at birth with a Pleiadian consciousness.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
and these people are referred to as starseeds or indigo children. Really, it's just an excuse for shitty new age hippie parents to avoid, having to control their autistic children. Which I'm allowed to say. I am autistic. I have Asperger's. Okay, I'm allowed to say that.
That's true. That's true.
You know what? Fair
Don't
play.
fucking at me.
Fair play.
But yeah, you've seen those stories of like
Yeah.
hellion children and the parents who are like, oh no, they're special. We couldn't possibly discipline them.
Yeah.
They're a higher consciousness. Like, no, just
Star
discipline your child.
children from
Yeah.
But yeah,
cosmos.
yeah, that's the basic theory behind starseeds or indigo children. That the Pleiadians are they are inhabited by a Pleiadian consciousness.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that kind of? Could you link that to sometimes there's those cases of like quote unquote time travelers and they're like, oh, I've come from wherever, and like there's those humans that kind of like they say they're from somewhere else and everyone's like, what is this guy on? He's tripping on something like.
I don't know. There's a.
Because are they aware that they're indigo children?
Eventually, yeah, there is an like awakening that happens.
yeah.
Like when they get older, they have this series of realizations.
What, like Mortal Instruments, where she starts drawing the friggin' symbol?
Sure, yeah. I did read those books when I was younger. They were all right.
Yeah.
A lot of like.
They weren't that great.
They were okay.
I was only able to read.
That's the only reference I had to like getting older and like having a calling. That's the only one I could pull out that quickly.
A lot of like faux incest themes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. There's I totally lost my train of thought. Bloody hell.
Star children, indigo children.
Yeah, it was that.
They
and
come
then-
Coming of age.
Enlightenment when they get older.
time travel. Right. So
Oh.
Yes.
yes, that's where we got to. Yeah, so the Pleiadians are often associated with the theory that aliens are humans from the future, super developed, evolved humans who have come back to do stuff. Yeah, and being from the fifth dimension, being spiritual beings of light.
Yeah.
They're not bound to our physical laws.
Yeah,
and,
isn't
Go.
theorized that it's like a high dimension, it's like fourth dimension time doesn't.
have you seen
Matter.
Interstellar?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. You know when after McConaughey falls into the black hole and he encounters the tesseract that these beings.
The library of memories.
Yeah, the beings construct. Yeah, supposedly. Yeah, that's like imagine the Pleiadians are the ones who constructed that for him so that he could communicate with.
So you can
Murph
see all
through
of time. At, like.
Yeah.
Did you know? Fun little sidetrack. A very quick sentence. We lost our black hole. Like the black hole that was in our galaxy, or not our galaxy, our solar system. One of the two.
Our
Like-
solar system.
We had a black hole that was discovered like a couple of years ago. We lost it. We don't know where it's gone.
Oh right. So okay. So you're referring to the black hole that was the first one that we actually photographed.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Right.
We
and,
lost it.
And we just don't know where it is anymore.
Yeah, and it was like a
I think
couple.
that's to be expected. It's a
It was
black
like
hole.
a couple 100,000 miles wide, and it could actually suck up our entire
Yeah, they're massive.
solar system. But we lost
well,
it.
yeah, but the chances of that occurring are
Oh yeah, but yeah, they just don't know where it is anymore. It's gone. Like we can't
that's
find it.
understandable. I mean, it's a black hole.
Yeah.
Like it's defined by its absence of visible light. So
Yep.
I would imagine it'd be pretty easy to lose a black hole. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily.
I just saw that the other day. And I was like, cool.
Yeah.
When a black hole runs out of energy, the suck in does it just collapse on itself?
Oh boy, I could go on about that. Let's not get into
Aliens,
that for a
right?
Yeah. Yeah, and these are the Pleiadians are one of the species that are supposedly possible for introducing agriculture and to humanity, and they were supposedly one of the species, depending on what you believe in this whole thing,
Yes.
that helped us construct megaliths such as the pyramids. Which I'm just gonna say for the record, the pyramids were constructed using a lot of slaves.
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah.
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 that's
They
how it
literally
happened.
had like
A
an
lot of
entire
dying
race
people.
to their
Mm,
disposal.
yeah, there's nothing weird about megaliths.
Like,
it's just
yeah.
hard work.
It would have taken a lot of
Yeah.
time, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun fact: when the very first pyramids were being built, woolly mammoths had not yet gone extinct.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they were
I
around
feel like
for
I've
a
heard this before. Yeah.
they were around for a couple
bizarre.
hundred years after that. Like after the
Damn.
pyramids started being built. Yeah,
Hmm.
there you go.
That's cool. Yos.
Could you
Yeah.
imagine spending your entire life just as a slave building a pyramid?
I think a lot of people imagine that. Or we're living that.
Oh, we're living that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the scale of time is weird.
Yeah.
Like
Mm.
from the time of Jesus through to the 20th century, there were like 2 empires spanned that entire period of time.
And Frank and Martin Luther King were born in the same year.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, they were.
Like
Yeah.
that's
weird.
a mind trip to me because you think Anne Frank and you're like, wow, way in the past, and then Martin Luther King's like pretty recent, but no, they were born in the same year.
Yep. Yeah, the Roman and Ottoman empires,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's-
think,
that
were
sounds
like
right.
between them spanned like that entire 2,000-year period,
Yeah.
which is nuts.
Time is such a weird concept.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, that was the Pleiadians, and the name Nordics comes from the fact that in the 20th century and up until present day, well, throughout history they've most often appeared like in a physical form. They can make themselves look human.
Yeah.
And they most often appear in a physical form that is the least distressing to whoever they're talking to.
Mhm.
So with those ancient civilizations, they would have appeared, as they looked. They would have appeared as a member of that civilization. But in the 20th century and through to present day, they've most often appeared in Western Europe or America.
Right.
Yeah.
And they've appeared as tall beings, like 6 foot, 6'4", long blonde hair, blue eyes, fair skin,
hmm
Yeah.
Right.
like Nordic peoples, and yeah, I saw you. Yeah, I see your face.
Oh,
And yes,
that's
yes,
not great.
this is where the concept of the Aryan race came from.
Ah, cool.
We
Yeah.
could go into Hitler and the Nazis and aliens and the occult. I want to do an episode on that because
Jesus
it's
Christ.
fucking nuts.
Every single episode we do, it's like we could do a whole nother episode on that.
Okay. This afternoon, I'm going to get a whiteboard. I'm going to stick it up on the wall, and I'm just going to write in episode ideas. 'Cause-
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
We're gonna need a bigger whiteboard already.
Oh hell yeah. Yeah. So that's the Pleiadians, also known as the Nordics. Now we come to the big boys. You guys were talking about aliens taking over world governments.
Ah.
These are the guys.
The Reptilians.
Yeah. So these are if the Greys are the bad guys, the Reptilians are the big bad guys.
Oh.
They're like the mob boss.
Yeah, so we don't know exactly where they came from. Some people believe they are just pure aliens. Others believe that they are creatures, like humanoid creatures descended from dinosaurs that survived the various extinction events.
That'd be a really weird course of evolution to go from a dinosaur to human.
Yeah, a little bit, but if you think about how mammals evolved into modern day humans, it's
Well,
not
yeah,
that
yeah,
weird,
true.
that are
It could still
sort that are-
develop the brain. It would just be different body, really.
Yeah, I
Like,
guess
the
so.
brain
Yeah.
could be similar still.
well, yeah, it's possible that they followed a similar path of evolution to from
Yeah.
mammals through early man, apes, early man, humans, kind of path.
Or maybe they just have like sick camouflage skills, like Mystique from X-Men. Maybe they can just.
well.
Oh, okay.
We'll
Oh,
get
okay.
to
Now,
that.
yes.
But another theory is that they were that reptilians were genetically seeded on Earth by another race of ancient reptilian aliens called the Tiamatians,
The
Mhm.
which
Tiamatians.
that name might sound familiar to anyone who's played Dungeons and Dragons. Tiamat, the dragon goddess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's where the name of Tiamat came from. I would imagine. I'm speculating on that.
Yeah.
Speculating. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's probably
understand.
there's probably an ancient language connection there.
Yeah.
Somewhere. Yeah. So the reptilians are believed to live in underground cities, and like not quite the same as the Hollow Earth theory that we briefly touched on
Yeah.
in a previous episode. But yeah, that like underground cities connected by a network of tunnels under the Earth's surface. Yeah, and I guess capable of space flight. You know, it's not entirely, you know, like I said, there's a lot of stuff out there, and not all of it agrees. Like,
who was
See-
it that came up with
Well,
that theory? There was a very famous. What was it? The underlying cave thing theory.
Jules Verne? No?
Maybe I'm thinking about something else.
Probably.
Maybe the shell Earth theory. I don't know.
Oh,
I'm on a
so many different Hollow Earth theories.
Yeah. That's the thing. All of these things like are plausible at like some point or another,
Yeah.
but then you can poke holes everywhere as well.
You can definitely take elements of it and like fit it to your own beliefs.
Yeah.
And then make it make sense.
Mm.
Yeah. So there's a few different lines of reptilians. There's the ones that you most often hear about. One of them are the elder reptilians, and they're the like elite royal lineage of the reptilians. They're generally about 7 to 10 foot tall.
Damn, that's tall.
Yeah,
NBA who?
Then there's the Greys, and the Greys supposedly were originally a peaceful race called the Solipsi Rai, and they were supposedly genetically engineered with draconian DNA to create a slave race.
Draconian DNA? They're dragons now.
What?
You said draconian DNA.
Well, we'll get to that.
Bro.
And yes, and supposedly these Greys, these already altered Greys, were further altered by another race called the Anunnaki, which I'll
So many races.
get to in a minute, to appear more human, and they were planted on Earth throughout history as pharaohs and kings to guide human development. Yeah,
Yeah,
so if you've ever seen those pictures of pharaohs,
Yeah,
like with the elongated
the weird
skulls,
heads.
yeah,
Some of them are like cats.
that's
so, like,
that's where that belief came from. Okay.
So, like,
Fun
Anubis and
fact.
shit.
Fun fact: the you know the paintings you see on like ancient Egyptian murals with
Yes.
you know the gods having human bodies and animal heads.
Yeah.
That's not a literal interpretation. Like nowhere within ancient Egyptian mythology did the gods appear as you know human bodies, animal heads. That's purely an artistic representation of their dual nature. So take for example Anubis.
Mm-hmm.
The jackal, the one who judges you in the afterlife.
Underworld boy.
Yeah, he would never appear like that. Like he would either appear in his human form or like fully as a jackal.
Ah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
see,
and
that's
all the gods are like that. Like Sobek never appeared as a human with a crocodile head. You know, either appeared as a human or as a crocodile.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just trying to remember Egyptian gods.
So yeah, fun fact.
Ra, is that the bird one?
Yeah. Horus. Yes, Ra is the sun bird.
Yeah.
Boy. Sun god.
Bird boy.
Boy, it's been. It's
But with the
been a while.
Yeah,
with the
Sith
reptilians
Horus.
and all that good shit, is that also are they also linked to the Illuminati, or are they just a completely
Well,
different?
We'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
excited.
there is also a sub-race of reptilians called the
Yee.
I'm trying to.
The Yee.
Yay.
Here we are. Speaking of Sobek, the Saurians, and these are reptilians who supposedly look more crocodile-like than lizard-like. Yeah, and they're
Yeah, I think I've heard Saurians before.
telepathic, and they're supposed to be the ones who brought civilization to humanity.
Alrighty.
But
all these aliens bringing civilization.
Yeah,
to us.
humanity didn't do
we
shit.
Still fucked.
so yeah,
They
so
give us everything. We're like, nah, fam.
So yeah, the Greys genetically altered from the Solipsi Rai to with draconian DNA, with reptilian DNA to be a slave race.
So you know how you talked about like the first Greys? So maybe they're not actually the bad ones. Maybe they were just like, yo, go get some research, and we're just freaking out because how they research is just not very ethical.
Well, no, the Greys who are recounted in abduction scenarios
Yeah.
are supposed to be these bad, the bad guys.
What? So are they the edgy, defective teen of
No, they're
They're
aliens?
nuts.
They're the.
Oh, okay, yeah. You know
No,
what?
they're
That
the
works.
reptilian slaves. They're the ones doing the groundwork. You know,
Ah,
freaking out
okay.
humans and stuff. Yeah. Now, there's another race of reptilians
Jesus
called...
Christ, you want to squeak over there anymore?
I know, it's because the chair. I'm wearing jeans and it's a very hot day and I'm trying to get comfy and I'm just very uncomfortable because I'm warm and I can't cross my legs, which I normally do when I'm sitting on a chair, but these are stiff jeans, man.
I wonder if it's picking up on the recording.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
hope the chair isn't squeaking, but you know, we move.
Oh boy. Yeah, so there's another race of reptilians called the Alpha Draconians. And these are reptilians from the Alpha Draconis system, which is I think it's another binary system. Located...
Binary systems. I know.
I don't know.
I know they're cool and everything, but bro.
Yeah, twin suns. And yeah, it's a system located within the Draco constellation. These reptilians, the Alpha Draconians, they're between 14 to 22 foot tall. They often have wings and tails. They're a lot more like you said, dragon-like than the general reptilians. And these are the ones that are supposedly capable of disguising themselves as humans. Yeah, and they are believed to have infiltrated, like royal bloodlines, families like the Rothschilds, the Merovingians, the families of every US president.
Yeah. Have you seen Trump's wife? Like,
okay, all right.
It's a possibility.
Yeah, and this in particular is a theory promoted by a man that ufologists are very familiar with, Mr. David Icke.
David Icke.
Okay,
Who is this
so
man?
Ike.
David Icke was he was a footballer and sports broadcaster from the UK. He's, how old is he? He's about 70? 68. So he played for Coventry City and Oxford United, I believe, and then developed arthritis in his knee, so he couldn't play anymore. And then he transitioned into journalism and sports broadcasting for the BBC. Yeah, mostly as a sports presenter. And then in the 80s, in the late 80s, he started to experiment with alternative medicine and new age stuff for his arthritis.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he ended up joining the Green Party in the UK. And then in I think in 1990, 1991, he started getting into spiritual stuff, where he visited a mystic, and then visited a pre-Inca burial ground in Peru, where he had this spiritual experience, and then
Of course.
in 1991 he resigned from the Green Party, and then a week later held a press conference where he announced that he was, quote, the son of the Godhead, or a son of the Godhead. He told all these reporters that the world was going to end in 1997. That this would be preceded by a hurricane around the Gulf of Mexico and New Orleans, eruptions in Cuba, some kind of disruption in China, a hurricane in Derry in Northern Ireland, and an earthquake on the Isle of Iran.
It's very specific.
That didn't quite happen, did it? Because we were born well after that.
Iran being an island off of Scotland. Yeah. He also claimed that Los Angeles would become an island, New Zealand would disappear, and the cliffs of Kent would be underwater by Christmas. So, yeah. He went on another.
I mean, look at most maps in America. New Zealand's not even there, so you know what? He was right about that too.
Yeah, he went on another radio program hosted by Terry Wogan, who was big in the 80s and 90s, and repeated these claims, and then basically became a social pariah. People wanted nothing to do with him.
That's fair.
I think he
Some bold claims.
I think he regretted it. Like he regretted that particular interview.
Yeah.
Later on, because like he was a respected journalist, and then overnight he was like, you know, like cast out.
World's gonna end.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
What was he expecting?
He's written several books, a lot around the you know, obviously the Reptilian Conspiracy to control the Earth's governments, the Jewish conspiracy to control the world's governments.
Okay.
You know, the idea of the Illuminati, Zionists, all that kind of stuff.
Is this man also a Nazi?
Is he a descendant
no,
of?
he's not a Nazi. He has a lot of anti-Semitic views. Yeah, he's questioned the Holocaust.
Are you
all that
sure
kind of stuff.
he's not a Nazi?
No, he's not. He's just a really radical conspiracy theorist. No, I've not seen.
It all comes back to a Nazi.
No.
It's actually
that's
shocking
funny.
how many times we've mentioned Nazis. Not just in this episode, in like past episodes as well.
Yeah, they come up a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he believes in reincarnation, the law of attraction, infinite dimensions, reptilians, obviously, the Babylonian Brotherhood, you know, the.
And
One
this all
World
came
Order.
from visiting some sort of burial grounds. Burial grounds always spell bad news bears.
Well, he got into like New Age medicinal stuff, and
Ah.
obviously into all the
So
other stuff that comes
He's
along with
been
that. and-
medicating.
Yeah, he's and, oh boy, you know, I'm just looking
It's
at
a
this
lot.
article on him, and of course he has COVID beliefs. I'm just looking at his Wikipedia page, and the title of that section is 5G and COVID-19. So
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
David Icke, everybody,
Man's off his
Ickke. That's how you spell his last name. Go look him up if you're interested. He's an interesting fellow.
rocket. Okay.
Yeah.
Man's on some different stuff.
Yeah, so he's one of the like foremost proponents, foremost modern proponents of the reptilian conspiracy theory.
Right.
Yeah, and the basic idea behind them, like, you know, infiltrating all these dynasties and bloodlines and governments is that they want to prevent humanity from developing interstellar travel. Because they see us as like innately warlike, like we have a lot of warrior tendencies just like innately within us, and they're worried that if we develop interstellar spaceflight, that we will be a threat to them on the galactic stage.
It's a fair assumption.
Yeah.
See, there's that too, but we're also just very not detrimental. What's the word? Destructive to our environments anyway. Like not even in war ways, just like in general life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the theories is that, you know, they are causing that. Like they're like the reptilians are working behind the scenes within the governments to, you know, accelerate the rate of climate change.
Yeah.
And, you know, work to instigate war and, you know, global conflict and all that kind of stuff. You know, as a way of getting us to destroy ourselves.
If they're already doing that, why don't you just wipe us out?
Because it'd be too obvious.
Well,
Who would care?
apparently there is a, like, they have a shrinking window of opportunity to get this done before they have to, you know, transform their MO into outright hostility.
Oh.
Because we are getting closer to according to them, to the people who believe in this stuff, we are getting closer towards developing interstellar travel. So they need to work quickly to get this done.
Yeah.
Like they have a shrinking window of opportunity. Yeah. So yeah, that's the general idea behind the reptilians.
Wait, so do they not like us as a race, or do they want to inhibit our planet? Like what? Because if they don't like us, okay. Now I see your point. If they just don't like us as a race, they could just wipe us out. They probably have the artillery to do that.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I mean,
see, this is where it starts. This is where this whole thing starts falling apart. You know?
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of doing it quietly? It's possible that they aren't quite powerful enough to get the job done.
Or maybe they want to
don't know.
preserve our planet. Like once we're gone, they want the planet. But then if you're destroying the planet via global warming,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think the general theory is that the Alpha Draconians are like, you know, the big boys heroes on the galactic stage, and they don't
Yeah.
want us to be a threat to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe there's like galactic laws governing,
Yeah, maybe
war
they have a
against,
hierarchy as well.
war against an undeveloped race. Like the Starfleet's Prime Directive and all that.
Yeah.
All that shit.
Yeah, no overt interference in pre-warp cultures.
See, like,
Yeah.
this is a very pop culture reference, but could you imagine, though, if we actually were, like, Guardians of the Galaxy and things like that, like, everyone's just, like, popping from planet to planet to planet, it would be chaotic, because
Oh, yeah.
I definitely know people that should not be behind the wheel of a spaceship.
Oh yeah.
Or, like,
People.
anything like that. Like, could you imagine?
Imagine how hard it'd be to fly a fucking spaceship.
Yeah, people can't even drive.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
And they're
you've got
just like,
gravity
yo.
helping you out, and then you want to go in space.
Yeah.
You don't even have like what 4 directions to go, or
Well,
4 primary
yeah.
directions.
I mean,
You've
I would-
got like way
Infinite,
more.
I
yeah.
would imagine that the people who aren't good at it would pretty quickly take themselves out of the gene pool. So
That's true.
True. Natural selection will play its part.
yeah. Well, I mean, there's a reason why modern astronauts are so highly educated.
Yeah,
Like,
they're
a
trained for
lot-
like 10 years before they even get going.
Yeah, and a lot of them hold multiple PhDs.
Yeah.
And like
Oh, yeah.
engineering, and they're all taken from. Well, I think the vast majority of them are taken from the existing armed forces as pilots.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, they don't let just anyone take a space shuttle up.
Yeah, but like, yo, we got a spare, want it?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe eventually, like stabilization thrusters and stuff that account for,
What's the thing? Look how big our rocket ships are, and you got Guardians of the Galaxy and things like that. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
a movie, but like,
you
could
know
you
the-
imagine the
no.
size of those? Like,
The Guardians of the Galaxy ship is fucking gigantic. The one they fly in, that thing is huge.
yeah, but it's not as big as a rocket.
Yeah.
No, it might actually.
I mean,
be.
a lot of like spacecraft in pop culture are bigger than you would think.
Yeah.
Like
You don't get a
Well,
real
that's the
sense
same-
of scale.
it's the same with I would argue aircraft on Earth.
Yeah.
Like have you been next to a let's say an F-16, an F-16 fighter jet?
You're
Those
talking
things
to the
are
wrong
massive.
person.
They're massive, like 15,
Large.
20 meters long. They're huge,
Oh,
and you
yeah.
you don't get that like just looking at a
Same
picture.
Same with the
Sure.
Hercules planes when we were in Arcturus. Like,
Oh,
the
yeah.
first time I saw a Hercules plane land, I was like, what in the... Like, that shouldn't be
This
able to,
thing
like,
is
take
huge.
off, let alone land, like, perfectly
Ohakia
fine.
being Air Force Base Ohakia in New Zealand.
Oh, yes, yeah.
For our international listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with spacecraft. You don't get a sense of scale unless you're like right next to it. But
Yeah, true.
Like Star Wars ships, fucking
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
kilometers long, like fucking
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
The Executor,
I think the standard Star
like 20
Destroyer is about
kilometers.
1.2
Yeah.
kilometers long, like
Yeah.
1,200 meters,
And then the
Damn.
the
Yeah.
Executor Dreadnought class, that's like 19 kilometers long.
something like that. Yeah.
Fucking gigantic.
But where do you keep something like that?
In space.
Well,
They just
You know
stay
what?
in
Yeah,
space.
true.
Yeah.
They just vibe there. They don't
Yep.
ever come back down.
Right. So the next one. This is the second to last one. We've got
the
two to go.
penultimate one.
Yes. The next one is one that you don't. It's a race that you don't hear about very often, but they are present in abduction encounters.
Yeah.
Insectoids.
Insectoids. Oh, I don't
Yeah.
like the sound of that.
So
Starship Troopers shit
It's just
right
stick
there.
insects. Like,
well, no, they most often, well, they pretty much always resemble praying mantises.
I was close. I hit
right.
stick insects.
Which, if you look at a praying mantis, it's already kind of like
Creepy.
almost human-like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's-
You know,
it's some humanoid features. Is it
yeah,
one I
they're-
remember somewhere? No.
Yeah,
No,
they're
it was last week.
Yeah.
Came on the wrong week.
Damn.
Oh, excuse me. They're generally about 6 to 7 feet tall.
No thanks. I'm done.
And
I'm
they
out.
Have, they have additional joints on their necks, arms, and hands. They usually have a brown coloration to their carapace, occasionally like green or black, but mostly brown. And they're sometimes like unclothed, just like big
Yeah.
insect, but they often are reported as wearing these long robes.
And they're
Um,
all female because the female praying mantis eats their partner. Ha 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 ha. So I'd be alright. You guys are dead.
Fuck you.
I don't. I couldn't find any information on the gender split.
Imagine how terrifyingly powerful a praying mantis that large would
Oh
be.
yeah, because praying mantis.
Just your head's gone.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like Jesus Christ.
Well, they also some abductees have reported them using cloaking fields to appear human. Yeah, like to put people at ease. But they also are supposed
Put people
to.
at ease.
Yeah, they also are supposed to communicate telepathically with abductees. They do have a spoken language that they speak between themselves. It, like sounds like clicking.
Yeah.
You know? I'd imagine something
Morse
like
code.
something like the Geonosians from Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Are you aware of the Geonosians?
Probably, honestly, a lot of like I'm terrible with names, but I have like a relatively good memory. So like,
Phone noises.
yeah, if I like heard it, I'd be like, oh yeah, but
I hate
Yeah,
the Geonosians. Fuck the Geonosians. They commit war crimes all the time. Yeah, weapons liquefy your insights because they're sonic weapons.
It wouldn't surprise me. You'll be pleased to know that they were pretty much wiped out during the Clone Wars. So
Yeah, that was great.
there we go.
Genocide.
Zombie brainworms. Jeez. Yeah. So the and yeah, this telepathic communication is like they also in a lot of cases use it to put the abductees at ease. Like a lot of them report a sense of calm, like when the insectoids are present. Which you'd think that a giant praying mantis would make you panic.
yeah,
I would panic.
Yeah.
But apparently they like can telepathically like put them calm them down.
again,
make them
Guardians of the
compliant.
Galaxy, the chick with the antenna,
Mantis,
sleep
yeah.
mantis.
Yeah.
Mantis.
Oh, okay, there we go.
I wonder if that's actually like
Yeah.
a sly reference to that. Possibly. I don't know.
maybe.
Um,
But if
I mean, the comics first came out in the '60s, so
yeah, if
it's
they're
possible.
if their human form is like her, like still kind of bug-like, but still more, that would give me a sense of calm, like a little bit, because it's still like it's creepy, obviously, but it's still kind of like human. But if it was just a giant praying mantis, I'd be like, I'm gonna run.
I'm going to die.
Yeah.
I'd let Pom Clemente abduct me.
Okay.
Right. Just saying. But yeah, the insectoids often appear as overseers during like interrogations and medical procedures, and they when they appear, they are accompanied by greys, which you'll remember are a slave race.
Well, yeah, I was about to say, no wonder the greys are most popular for like all these abductions. They're getting taken everywhere.
Yeah. So I'm not entirely sure like how the insectoids relate to the reptilians.
Yeah.
But they must be working together because again, the greys are a slave race employed by the reptilians.
Yeah.
Created by the reptilians. Yeah. So yeah, that's insectoids. And now we get to one of the more interesting species, the last one on the list,
Interesting.
the Anunnaki.
I've heard that before. I don't know what
Yeah,
it is.
probably.
I've heard it.
What?
Anunnaki.
Anunnaki.
Yeah. So these guys have like had a resurgence in popular culture over the last 5-10 years. The name is present in historical writings. It most often refers to a group of ancient deities that are present in writings from the Babylonians, Akkadians, Assyrians, and Sumerians, and to a lesser extent the Hittites, who were a concurrent empire, like with these other civilization groups.
Yeah.
I believe the Hittites subsumed a lot of territory from these other civilizations during their time. But the Hittites believed that their gods were their beliefs were a lot younger than these other civilizations had. And they believed that their gods had overthrown and imprisoned the Anunnaki in the underworld, and like replaced them as the main gods of the civilization. There are the ancient works like the Epic of Gilgamesh, which you guys might have heard of.
Yeah.
It's like one of the
Yeah.
no, it's an old
Gilgamesh is like he's the king who conquered like half the world, wasn't he, or something apparently?
it's an old Mesopotamian legend.
Yeah.
About it's like one of the first hero narratives.
Mm-hmm.
You get folks like Cuchulainn or Heracles.
Yeah.
Those kind of narratives.
Okay.
Yeah, the Epic of Gilgamesh is one of the first hero demigod narratives that we get in ancient writings. Yeah, and it portrayed the Anunnaki as the 7 judges who sit before the throne of Ereshkigal, who is the Mesopotamian goddess of the underworld.
Ooh.
So they are like a group of judges. You know, they would judge people in the afterlife.
You will stand before
Yeah.
the council.
And you might have heard of a book called Chariots of the Gods
Yeah.
from 1968.
Yeah.
It was written by Eric von Daniken, and it was the it was the first. Well, it wasn't really the first, but it was the one that really came into popular culture as the. It's the one that introduced the concept of ancient astronauts, basically. You know, the idea that, you know, aliens came to Earth in ancient times and brought technology and civilization to ancient peoples.
Yeah.
Right.
Or, in some accounts, you know, created humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it was Chariots of the Gods back in the late 60s. And his following books throughout the 70s, which expanded upon that theory. And there was a Russian-American author named Zecharia Sitchin, who in 1976 published his book The 12th Planet, which claimed that the Anunnaki were an advanced humanoid species who came to Earth roughly 500,000 years ago and created humanity by hybridizing themselves. They created Anunnaki Homo erectus hybrids. Homo erectus being
The worst us.
What?
The worst us. Well, Homo erectus was like the branch off. Homo sapiens and Homo erectus branched off from each other. Like,
Oh,
their
okay.
predecessor, pretty much.
And the timeline kind of adds up, because 500,000 years ago is about the estimate of when Homo erectus began evolving into... It's where we start getting evidence of evolution from Homo erectus into,
Great apes and whatnot.
Homo heidelbergensis,
Yeah.
Homo neanderthalis, Homo sapien.
Yeah.
That
Were you
progression.
saying that they would just work like we are the
Well,
superior
I
race?
think what happened was, obviously there is a lot more steps in between, but
Yeah.
pretty much Homo sapien was like, I'm trying to remember. Homo sapien is like the branch that we come from, and I think Homo erectus was the
Homo
branch.
sapiens are modern humans who
Yeah.
appeared roughly 15,000 years ago.
And I think
yeah.
Homo erectus was more the branch that goes towards apes. I'm not quite sure.
No, Homo erectus was like where it split off.
From what I know, it's where it split off.
Yeah,
as you said,
but basically Homo erectus 500,000 years ago began evolving into... this is where evolution began, from Homo erectus into Homo sapiens. And
Yeah.
the theory is that
yeah.
all of these evolutions were the result of Anunnaki hybrids with Homo erectus and the preceding early human species that
Chain of evolution
eventually
and all
created humans.
Yeah.
So they so the Anunnaki created humans through these hybrids and enslaved them in order to mine gold, which they had discovered Earth was rich in. What they wanted it for, I don't know.
Yeah.
Ball of
Their technology, I guess.
Honestly, yeah, they're just like, yo, we just want to deck out our
Yeah.
what do you call it?
I think that's how it is.
Yeah.
A gold-plated spaceship. That's all
Yeah.
I wanted.
He's like, I just want a grill.
Damn.
But yeah, so the Anunnaki disappeared after the Great Flood, which was caused by melting Antarctic glaciers, and that destroyed their bases, which caused them to have to leave temporarily. And after that, when they came back, they needed more humans to rebuild, so they taught us agriculture, and basically caused the beginnings of civilization.
Interesting.
Oh, so we are also a slave labor race?
Yeah.
Once again, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. We're too thick to
Slaving for what? That's a good question, but
Yeah.
Well, we don't. That was not the question why. That was about to
we're
do
not
die.
good enough
Yeah,
yet. We're
and-
still
Yeah.
in the process.
And obviously, the Anunnaki also hybridized humans with the Greys, who were themselves genetically engineered by the Draconians from the Calypsi Rye,
Yeah.
to create human Grey hybrids who were planted on Earth as royals, to guide human civilization.
Bada bing, bada boom, we are all aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically. whichever theory from today that you want to believe, we come from aliens.
See, that's the thing though, like, aliens, like, I mean, there are some, like, super smart humans, but humans as a whole are, like, babies compared to alien, like, not subconscious, but, like...
Assumptions of how intelligent they are.
Yeah.
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 Or projections of how intelligent we could get, or how advanced, but fuck.
Yeah.
Destruction will probably occur before that.
Oh, yeah, we'll probably, like, in terms of, like, growth, we'll be learning to walk, and then everything will just, like,
Unless
go down.
we come up with a method for, like, infinite energy, or more efficient energy, like a theorized, what is it, fusion reactor? I don't know. Then, we're fucked.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got a lot
We
of
just need a
work to do.
tesseract or two, and we'll be good.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's all good. Maybe a black hole.
Yeah.
You know, create a black hole, get energy from that. That would be hefty. That doesn't suck in. I don't know.
So yeah,
Bullshit.
aliens.
Aliens.
You can't see it, but I'm doing the hand gesture.
The hand gesture.
Just put the meme right here.
Yeah.
Aliens.
I reckon. Oh, yo.
Can we put that in the thumbnail?
Yes.
Sure, I can.
That can
put
be
in
the thumbnail, just the aliens.
That will be
Yeah.
the thumbnail now. As long as I remember,
boy.
I probably will. Fuck, we did actually go to an hour 30.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
We talk a lot of bullshit.
That's
Yeah.
why it's the ZeroFunction podcast where no brain cells are present. We can just go on so many tangents. Like,
Oh yeah.
the black hole tangent. It's just because
Ugh.
you said black hole, I was like, remember,
Did
we
I?
don't have one anymore. Yeah, when you're talking about Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. See?
It went away.
We're
It's
like,
gotta be
this
the
is the
dating
path.
one.
You say one word and it's just like right turn real
Well,
quick.
I was
Yeah.
using that to explain.
Yeah.
Explain something. You took it. You took
Oh
it
yeah.
elsewhere.
I mean that's what my brain
Yeah,
does. You're the
that's
one with
right.
the brain
How
cells.
dare you put this podcast off track? You know I'm talking about Nazis.
Yeah.
Jeez. All right. Well, it's getting real hot in here, so let's wrap
Yeah.
this up so we can open some windows. Jesus.
Yeah, indeed.
So anyway, we'll be back again next week with a weird.
It's my
Yeah, we will.
Oh
turn.
yeah, it is your turn.
It's
Yeah.
my episode. I would give you like a glimpse of what's going to be next week, but honestly, I've got about 3 ideas bouncing around, so I
It's
guess you'll
generally
find out.
about how it goes.
Yeah.
Subscribe. Spotify is somewhat up. There's now 4 episodes at this point that I
Damn.
have managed to get up. There won't be any more until next month, probably.
Yeah, it's an ongoing process.
It's cursed. Money is required. Yeah.
We're working on it.
Follow us on the social stuff of
Exactly.
Twitter, Instagram, and
At
We don't
ZeroFunction
have
Pod.
Facebook, so
yeah, who
Yeah,
wants
no.
Facebook?
exactly we don't have Facebook,
Just,
so just Twitter and Instagram.
Because Facebook is a tool of the reptilians.
Oh yes,
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
No.
Mark Zuckerberg.
No, it just sucks.
honestly.
Okay.
Yeah. Right, wanna
Yeah.
wrap us up, Lee?
All right, at ZeroFunction Pod on Twitter and Instagram. We're on YouTube. You're probably listening to that
Now, yeah.
already. So, yeah, cool. If you're not, YouTube, Spotify, we're working on. Like, rate, subscribe, comment. Tell us what you want us to, cover on the show.
You're so old. Rating? I remember when there were ratings on YouTube.
I listen
You-
to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
I was talking more about, Spotify.
Oh,
And-
okay.
Yeah.
Before the like button, you used to be able to rate videos.
That sounds cursed.
Yeah,
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
it was like
yeah.
star rating thing.
That sounds like chaos.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.